Hello and welcome once again, good people. Hope you're doing well. Today in this video, we would like to look at the hyperbolic function. So, hyperbolic function, it means we are talking about the hyperbola. So, what is the hyperbola? To show what a hyperbola is, I'm going to represent a graph on the Cartesian plane, which is the y-axis and x-axis. So the general form of a hyperbola is such that our graph is found in two quadrants. By the way, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants. So the hyperbola graph is such that it is given as that in that first quadrant and then in the other quadrant. So generally we can say that it is the formula or the general expression is such that it is y is equal to 1 over x. I can write it as 1 over x, or I can say y is equal to a over x. So the hyperbola, this one can be y is equal to 1 over x, but I can also put an a which represents any number to say maybe it's 1 over x, or it can be 2 over x, or it can be 3 over x. By the way, the effect of a, which is this number here, it stretches the graph. Okay. Now moving on, as we are looking at the hyperbolic function, we also would like to mention some of the very important aspects. By the way, we looked at another point, which is the asymptotes. So what did we say asymptotes are? Asymptotes are those lines where the graph approaches, but they only get closer to that line, but they don't cross. So in this case, our asymptote is the line. This x-axis is our asymptote. For asymptote, we have x-axis, and so the graph does not touch the x-axis. And we also have this line also, y-axis is also our asymptote. Moving on, what else do we want to look at when we are talking about this function? We also would like to talk about the axis of symmetry. Let's talk about the axis of symmetry. What is axis of symmetry? An axis of symmetry is that line which divides the graph into two equal parts. Okay, so the line that is going to, such that when we draw it, our graph is going to be distributed fairly and evenly, equally into two parts. For instance, if I draw a line here, like that straight line, obviously I'm going to find that I will have this graph here. The one part is on the other top side and the other part is here. So this graph is actually split into two equal parts. One is on the top and the other equal part is on the bottom. I can also draw another line. So before I go to another line, let's give a name to this. This line is y is equal to negative x. Y is equal to minus x. So the line y is equal to minus x is our axis of symmetry. Let me, here I wrote axis of symmetry, so let me say y is equal to minus x. The minus here, it means that it has got a negative gradient. Negative gradient, like this. Then also, besides this, there's also another way that I can split this line, this graph of our hyperbolic graph into two. I can I can draw a line like this, passing through the center. So this line here, I have this graph split into this bottom part here and the top part here. So I'll have this line is y is equal to positive x. So y is equal to x. This one is a positive gradient. So that is what we have for the hyperbolic function. This is our hyperbolic function. Now, moving on from where we left, I would like also to look at, to emphasize the form in which, the general form of our equation for hyperbolic function. So the hyperbolic function is written in the form of y is equal to a over x plus q. A over x plus q. So I can say, first thing that I want you to think of when I say hyperbola is you just write y is equal to 1 over x. Quickly, that's what I want you guys to think of when I say hyperbola. But now we need to emphasize, this is very important. This is general form of the formula. It says y is equal to ax plus q. Now, these a and q are transformations of the graph. What do we mean by transformation of a graph? It means the graph can change with respect to a and q. So let's see how this is going to affect our graph. When we say y is equal to, when we say we want to write a hyperbola, generally we first take it from here, which is why I said y is equal to 1 over x. That is a mother graph. So the mother graph, let me write the mother graph in the form of dotted line like this. So this is y is equal to 1 over x, our mother graph. But now we can transform this graph. Not all the graphs are going to be in the form of, this is a basic graph. Now, not all the graphs are going to be in the form of a basic graph. So they are going to come in different forms with a over x. And what does a mean? A is just a number. It could be 2, let's say it could be y is equal to 2 over x. Or it could be y is equal to 3 over x. So what does it mean? It means that this graph is being affected by the 2, as in y is equal to 1 over x multiplied by 2. That is what we mean here. Y is equal to 1 over x multiplied by 3. So the effect is that this graph here stretches depending on the a number of times, like that. And then what does q represent? Q is the vertical shift. Vertical shift, it could be the graph could shift vertically, q units vertically upwards or q units vertically downwards. So in this case, it means our q is going to be, let's say I put my q here, q. It means I'm going to take my graph here and move on. I'll have a new asymptote, which is q. So my graph is going to be here and there. So this is going to be y is equal to a over x plus q. That is all we have in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Please do not forget to subscribe and follow my channels.